What's going on, everyone? Welcome in to another edition of the Mast Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. I serve as the territory sales manager for the Mast Sales Group in the states of Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. Thanks for joining us today. Joining me in the virtual studio is Skip Ast III from Shasta Pools in Arizona. Skip, welcome in.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dalton. It's a pleasure.
I got to ask, what's the temperature today out there in your man Blitz?
Warm to quite warm. We've already broken a couple of records actually within the last week. So we were just north of 118. It's great. It's great marketing for us.
Yeah.
But we're also human too. So
Exactly.
Survival is key as well. So.
Man, that's a hot time, and it's gonna be a hot episode. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about today. Skip, of course, with Shasta Pools out in that Phoenix area, huge builder, one of the best and most elite in the country. And Shasta Pools has been going since 1966. Skip and I are going to talk about how to keep the family business appeal going when you have increased volume. How to maximize efficiency with that volume, how to vet potential clientele, and much more as we continue through the show today. But Skip, to get us started, give me a little bit of a background. I know, passed down between, your great grandfather, your grandfather, now your father, now you. A little bit of background on how Shasta Pools came to be and your role in continuing to make it what it is.
Sure. So the story behind Shasta is that my grandfather partnered up with his brother way back. My great uncle Bob Ast was working with a little local home builder who's just trying to sell homes, and they thought it'd be a pretty good idea to offer a pool with a home. Not a terrible idea in the middle of the desert. Pretty smart actually. He wanted help. My great uncle Bob, he's more of the sales side. He's wired like me. Very people oriented, sales, love enhancing lives at the kitchen table. If you know what I mean. But my grandfather, he was more the ops. He's the construction guy, structured, detailed. He knows how to run a crew, and he came on to help his brother. And, since he came on board, the sky became the limit for them. It was a perfect marriage. They were yin and yang, sales and construction. I know historically those two entities tend to do this, but what came out of those intense fellowship discussions, we'll call them, is what I think made Shasta great. When you can have a beautiful balance of sales and construction working hand in hand, great things can happen.
Skip, in a normal year, and I know a normal is very interesting of a term in the post-pandemic world, but post-pandemic now, what's a normal amount of new constructions and renovations that Shasta will do?
Gosh, that's a great question. Candidly, I would argue we haven't seen normal since 2019. Everything was a bizarre anomaly. And in the Phoenix market, if I'm going to be hypercritical of our area, we probably haven't seen normal since the first crash. We're such a bubble state. The Southwest, the Sun Belt. When the highs are high, we are higher than the rest of the country, and when they're low, we end up going lower than the rest of the country. So that rambling answer to say, I'm gonna call it a down year. I'm gonna say 2024 is a down year. And all of this is public in the Pool and Spa News Top 50. I realized we got uber transparent because we were very specific about the numbers, and I was seeing generic numbers everywhere else. So I thought maybe I made a mistake in being so specific. But last year, which is a down year, we did 516 new build construction projects. And on the remodel side, we were north of 250. Historically altogether, we're north of 100,000 projects in the Valley, new pools and remodel projects, over 40,000 remodels. And we were we're pushing over 90,000 actually on new pool builds. But
that's incredible.
The blessing of being old, I guess. So
I got to ask, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity for those, brick and mortar owners or managers that tune in, because, there is the idea of expansion almost all the time, right? Like, people want to expand. They want to be able to add another stream of income, but with that come its own challenges. How do you find the help to do that? How do you make it to where, you're not sacrificing your well-being for that? And I'm curious, with as much of the volume that you all done, how do you, number one, we'll start with the family business appeal. How do you keep that at the core of what you do while having this sort of, mainstream business model?
Yeah. The joke answer and the real answer is prayer, for sure, because it's not easy. It is incredibly challenging. It definitely takes buy-in from our families and support at home, because anyone in the pool industry knows, especially if it's a family-owned or private business, it's all in all the time. So that is challenging. I think the main key, and this is probably more of a generic answer than you're hoping for or the audience is hoping for, but the key is the people around us. And I know that's cheesy and generic, but our goal when we bring on team members is we look for character first. We actually, I know this sounds weird, we don't interview for technical competence. It helps if they have that, but we hire based on character. So we actually do, some people look at us like 3-4 interviews for one position. You got to be kidding. We do personality tests. We have them interview with multiple divisions, even within the divisions that they're not going to be working, just to make sure they're a good culture fit. Cause we know that we can, with our years of history, we can teach the technical side of it. The character, you can't. So not perfect by any means. We are in a constant state of change. But the people are so key. I would think if you interviewed any Shasta family member, I'm confident they would say it's the people. It's not us. It's just we want to surround ourselves with just good people. So, yeah. So even recently, we'll admit, I think the pandemic revealed some stuff to us that we had to humbly look within ourselves and say, you know what, we're not where we should be. We were not ready for a hybrid structure. We were not ready for, we were still kind of doing, we're almost 60 years old. We were still doing kind of a manila folder job progress, process, if you will.
Uh-huh.
You'd have one team member go, hey, excavation's done. They stand up, they walk 5 feet over. Hey, this family's ready. The Smith family is ready. And
right.
The pandemic and everything that was going on then just tore that apart. We were disappointing people and families, which broke Skip Senior's heart. So we had to look within ourselves, and there was someone that gave us some good advice. It's a local business, yet named Younger Brothers. They're in 70% of the new build construction homes in Arizona. Great guy. He's actually on our board, and he says, you know what? Sometimes you have to break stuff that you don't feel is broken and rethink your processes and systems. And fortunately or unfortunately, pandemic helped break it for us, or at least reveal some things. So we got into a cloud-based project management system. We've got the good people to run it, and we're still just continuously learning. Candidly, we changed over our, I'm going to be careful with how I say this. The people running construction. And I was related to some of them. And so that was a painful process for sure. And but now we realize we're in a position now where we're redefining and rethinking who we are and just getting up to speed for the customer's sake. So anyway, it's easy in a 60-year-old company to think you've arrived. We have not. awesome in the background, by the way. It's
coming down. Like I'm looking outside because I face the window. I mean, it is raining cats and dogs.
We're jealous out here in Phoenix. We don't ever get that stuff,
which is crazy because 20 minutes ago there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It felt like that's just kind of how Kentucky is. But nonetheless, Skip, I feel like the pandemic taught a lot of people things. You know, it kind of made you look internally because we had time to do it, right? And humans are creatures of habit. Sometimes you don't know you're doing anything wrong or incorrect until you kind of have to face that accountability. So I think that is sort of a key aspect of a company, is being able to, you know, have the humility and the accountability to accept that things might not necessarily be the way you want it to be, but also sort of the innovation to be able to move beyond it and to be able to, you know, maximize that efficiency. Over 60 or 1966, my gosh, that is
almost 60 years. Yep.
Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, I can imagine, if we were to ask, you know, the people that started the company, I mean, it's the question's much different, but from your perspective on how things in this industry have changed since, let's say, 2000. Yeah. I mean, what are some of the main things that you feel like Shasta has had to kind of say, you know what, this is changing in the world and the industry. We need to go ahead and alter the way we do something or alter the way we think or operate. Is there something that comes to mind there?
Yeah, gosh, there's quite a few things. I'm just trying to pick something that would benefit you and the audience on this. The generic answer is just to completely rethink what you're doing. I think there's two areas of maybe even three pain points from the year 2000 that revealed a lot. We recognize that pain is good. That sounds insane, but if you approach the difficult times, like if someone's trying to scale, you mentioned earlier, Dalton, people are trying to scale, failure can be a great thing. I think our culture today as a whole, especially in our industry, it's fearful of change, fearful of pain, but failure can lead to some of the best innovations there are. I mean, when you can get to a point where you feel like you've got nowhere to go, it's you just press forward. We had that moment in the crash. So we had that moment when the housing market hit its low in about 2012, 2013. We had to rethink things because much of our business was in home builders. We were partnered with, building pools while the home was being built. We completely rethought that. But I would submit, and I think more, I'm on the sales side. So that's where I think the consumer market changed dramatically. Went through a massive shift and change in 2008 and even again in 2020. And there's actually some studies, national surveys, Gartner and marketing profs that release some information that customers now more than ever are as skeptical as they've ever been. And I believe the percentage, it was 67% of consumers prefer a self-educational process, and 80% of them have made a decision on who they think they want to go with before they ever give you a call. So by the time we get the call, they're pretty sure they know who they want to go with. And we had to humbly recognize it may not be us. Because we're so old, the Valley is so new, people moving from everywhere but Phoenix, we had to really look within ourselves and say, are we really telling people we even exist? So, and the big thing for us is when we looked at our website, we looked at our marketing material, we looked at all of that. We said, okay, if we took competitor A, B, or C and put their logo on our website, would it look any different? And when we looked at that, we realized all the websites look the same. The content looks the same. It's all, hey, come and meet with us before we even answer questions, which we had to look at ourselves and go, wait, do we even shop like that ourselves? If someone told us, no, you have to come meet with me before I answer your most important questions, you're moving on. Like we don't shop for cars that way. We have an idea. Right. You don't go out and buy, a house with having no clue what it costs. So we took some pretty dramatic steps in the last year and a half. And we made it a point that we are going to answer customers' questions publicly before they ever come and meet with us. That was a scary thing for an old family business, because you want to be with them because you feel like you can control the dialogue. But in this case, we said, let's just answer families' questions right now before they ever call us.
Yeah. And I feel like, I come from a family business as well before I went into distribution and before I went to the manufacturer's rep side of things now. And I think that one thing that was a key point of emphasis for the business that I was in, and from what I've seen from more successful businesses across the country, is that just because you're a family business that was formed almost a half century ago doesn't mean you have to keep those same practices that you've been using for so long. You have to adopt the amount of innovation, because it's sort of like technology all around the world. If you don't conform to where it's going, you're going to get passed up. And that's kind of the way that the world works at this point. You talk about speaking to the potential clientele before the questions even get there. But let's talk about that clientele, because it's almost impossible to vet every customer that you deal with, especially when you have that many new builds that you're doing each year. Is there like what does that process look like though? How much vetting does go into like the design process per se?
Great question. So because we are more of a for everybody type of pool. In fact, some of your audience would be able to check Pool and Spa News. We were, and I'm not proud of this necessarily. We were the lowest average price per pool contract in the top 50. So my point in saying that is we're kind of for the Jen and Joe Smiths of the world. So we do have some higher end divisions. We do have a commercial division, but candidly, we're trying to help folks see us as a good fit for them as much as they are for us. So our vetting process is more putting the information in the form of radical transparency in videos and answering questions on our website in video before they ever call us. So it's almost like the customers can vet themselves to us, and to see if we're a good fit, we put our why out there so they could see like, hey, this is absolutely a company I align with. And then we get the call, or they say, you know what, I'm not matching up with these folks, and we won't hear from them. So our vetting process is more from a marketing perspective. And I read a book back in 2017 called They Ask, You Answer. I would highly recommend it. It's actually a pool guy wrote it.
Interesting.
Based on his experience from the crash in 2008. His name's Marcus Sheridan. It's a great read. Anyway, it opened my eyes in a lot of ways. I already believed a lot of what he was talking about, just being radically transparent. So in that sense, that rambling answer for you, we're really allowing the customers to vet themselves. We even produced a pricing calculator that Picker should play with. Man, that's a scary cultural thing to release, because, like you said, older family businesses like, hey, we've always done it this way. And that is the easiest temptation to fall into is, hey, we've always done it this way. We're a successful company. Let's never change. This shook that up pretty dramatically to where we're giving potential customers, I should say, an instant price range based on options they've selected. Because we realized, at least in our market, other markets may be different, customers really just didn't know what a pool cost. They didn't know what the cost of ownership was. So that vetting process, we put the power in the lead's hands, the customer's hands, to vet themselves. Because we've had people go through it and go, you know what? This is not a good fit. I'm going to try to build it myself. So like, okay,
right,
great. That works. And it helps. Selfishly, it does help us save time as well. We're more efficient with our time, because why go through 3 or 4 appointments with someone just to realize, you know what, we're not the best fit for them. So anyway, I don't know if that answered your question about vetting. No,
it does. It definitely does. I think that there's no right or wrong answer. It's that everyone does things differently. And the more that we talk with people on the show, the more you realize there's more than one correct answer always, right? It's like, just depends on what works for some, might or might not work for others. That's why we introduce the ideas, though. So you could potentially sit there and say, you know what, Skip said something that really resonated with me. Let me think about how I could weave that into what I'm doing. And what I'm really interested in personally, Skip, is the efficiency aspect. You talk about a lot of businesses out there that want to do some sort of expansion, but I mean, it's a leap of faith almost to some, because there's the employment, there's the vision, there's how do you make it work from a logistical standpoint. Is there any tips or secrets / advice that you could give that you feel like would be most helpful for a company that's either looking to go from smaller scale to medium scale or medium scale to larger scale?
Absolutely. So I think the temptation for people who get excited about scaling and want to, the first flinch is marketing and sales. And that's where my happy place is. Right. But that could be a mistake, because you could grow and then get overwhelmed on the back end and completely fail in the execution of enhancing someone's life, making them happy. Document your processes. If there is not a written standard operating procedure for something that you do, let's say you start scaling and you need to, it's a great problem to have, bring someone in to help you continue to grow. If there is not some sort of documented process for them to follow, you almost become a liar. If you market that, hey, this is the best product, we're a great fit, everything's going to work, but then fail on the back end, customers, I mean, we all know it. We all felt it during the pandemic. The reviews are ugly. So what we've had to do within the last 4 years, and the pandemic helps, pain was good, is we realized for almost 60 years, we've had all these systems and processes, and we had almost nothing documented. As far as, step one, lead intake, to even the construction side of it, scheduling and all of that. So we're rewriting every bit of it. The beautiful thing is, though, you've got AI today to where it'll put it in a format.
Right.
And so that's a tip and trick that we're really adopting and loving, because it is making our time so much more efficient. Encourage people, don't look at Chat GPT or Grok or whatever AI is not going to replace you. You think of it as a 24/7 assistant. The efficiency in just using that has been fantastic. It'll put an SOP in a format for you. It's just so easy. You could knock out 3 or 4 SOPs in a day. When we started doing this manually, right, 5 years ago, I mean, it would be a couple months. And then multiple meetings and getting, hey, does this process make sense? Now we could knock it out. So before you really go crazy in expansion, make sure all your processes are documented. So when you add team members, they could jump in and just go. They could start running with you. Doing it after is very painful. And usually that means the customer suffers.
No, I mean, you want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row, so to speak, if you are trying to, I mean, expanding in itself is already difficult enough. You want to make it to where you have your vision and your point of sale, your whatever you need to have, taken care of. But every episode, Skip, we have a mailbag question that is directly pertaining to each episode, and I held it from you specifically to make sure it's a genuine, kind of off the cusp answer, but it really relates to what we just talked about. And it's the final thing that I'll ask from you today is that, what do you think the main mistake is when companies don't succeed at expansion? Like, what do you think the root cause for that failure is?
Oh man, there could be quite a few things that come to mind. One is, do you have the right team? Mm-hmm. Are the right people on the bus, and are they in the right seat? I think one thing that we have faltered in is because someone is tenure, and we've had people here working for us for 40 years in some cases, just amazing people, amazing loyalty, but you don't want to promote someone to incompetence. If they're really good at the role they're in, you really want to vet and make sure, especially for efficiency, especially for scaling, that just because they've been there doesn't mean they're a right position for, let's say, a leadership role. So making sure you have the right people on the team. I know that's very generic, but then documented processes is huge, especially when you scale. You can't be everywhere at all times with every team member. So whether it be, they're running a family's project through a project management system, they should have an SOP on just what to do. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting pulled in. I'm certainly happy to help everyone, but if you're scaling and you have to do that times 10 people, 15 people, I mean, we've got 265 employees. We can't, as leadership, we can't be everywhere at all times. So that's where written processes are huge. So the mistake being made was just jumping before planning. There's an old proverb, I'm going to butcher it. It says something about, starting a project or building something without counting the cost or considering the cost is foolish. So,
right.
Plan. You have to plan and then work that plan. The other big mistake people make is if they fail, they stop. That's true mistake. That does not mean it's a bad thing. Some of the best inventions, the best pool industry innovations, in-floor systems, oxygenated pools, all sorts of stuff are results of like tons of failure and tons of just opportunity to keep going. So don't stop when you hit a wall. When you have the right people, they're going to keep pressing forward with you. So failure is not a roadblock. It's an opportunity. I know that sounds cheesy, but don't.
No,
stop.
but I mean, it has to be said. We like to think that this journey on life is linear when in reality it's very far from that. Is almost the opposite of that. So I mean, it's just different seasons, and I don't want to get too philosophical on this episode, Skip. But I mean, you mentioned it's like you have to sort of predict the unpredictable to an extent and understand that you got to roll with the punches sometimes, and you got to stick with it and stay committed. Skip, appreciate you for joining the show today. A lot of great stuff going on at Shasta Pools. Appreciate Skip. And for you all for tuning in, don't forget, a rising tide raises all ships. We'll see you next time here on the Mast Podcast.